No, you guys power played me, for sure. You called my bluff. Well, I recognize a good amount of you. Some new guys.
Mike, hi. In regard to the decision on
Joe.
how are you?
Good. How you doing?
In regard to the decision on Tua Tagovailoa and the fifth-year option, what role do you think concussions and durability should play in that discussion? And will play?
Well, I think, like any other player, you factor in every variable. I think, one thing that, when you're talking about those types of decisions, I think it's important to recognize that we have a congruence of interest by the Dolphins and the player, Tua, that we both want. Both parties really want him to play at a very high level for a long time for the Miami Dolphins. So, what's the best way to really engineer that or to help manifest that? Well, those are the things that we're kind of weighing in terms of the various options with the same desired end is Tua would like. So you factor in everything as best you can, but that's part of this game that we're all involved in. Is there are some unknowns, so you weigh those and you press forward and make the best decision possible for the organization. I mean, what is today's date? It's in February. What's our deadline? So we probably best served to utilize the time. That's kind of the way we're approaching it, but that doesn't mean that we're spending any long period of time not discussing it. This is something that Chris and I have been working through and will continue to work through.
Mike, what do you make of Byron Jones's tweet? And now that we've been a bit removed from the season, what more can you tell us about what went down?
Well, I'm not a big tweeter, but I know it's a tough situation from a competitor that loves to play the game of football. I think, the one thing I will say is that throughout the process, Byron's been able to be the conductor of the train. And I think the Dolphins organization, the entire training staff, and the medical department has supported him on every turn, and I think we'll continue to do that as he presses forward.
Mike, did he at any point during the season express any concerns about the care he was getting?
To me, specifically, no. I try to keep my ear to the street, so to speak. But that I'm not sure how. The bottom line is he feels the way he feels, and I think as a leader of professional athletes, I empathize with how everyone truly feels, and that I think all I can do is support. I know Chris feels the same way. We can just support the player in the process, and do best with that.
Mike, with nobody, no running backs in the contract for next year, it's kind of an opportunity to shape it exactly. What qualities are you looking for as you build this running back?
The best qualities. Good follow-up. No, I think it's one thing I've been fortunate within the being in the same system for like 18 years or wherever it's been. As you see, there's a lot of different ways that you can get to the desired result. So I think first and foremost, you from the running back position on our team, you need a team player that's willing to do whatever it takes to win. We have good, players surrounding the running back position, so you got to be you got to be willing to pass block and do things off the ball. I think there's many different types of running backs that can excel in this offense, given whatever their skill sets are. So to me, I just want team-oriented guys that enjoy getting the ball, fighting for yardage, and trying to win football games as a result. So I very open-minded to all the skill sets across the board, and just looking for guys that are completely invested in joining on our ongoing process to be as good as we can be. I think by really when you assess Skylar's play as a rookie, he did a lot of things to deserve to be in competition, and to have an open mind to him being to winning the backup quarterback role. I don't foresee that being unchallenged by any stretch. I think when you look at the position from its entirety from a year ago. Well, a year ago we had a one-man room that there's a lot of questions with regard to the where Tua was at in his development of his game, and we needed someone to come in that could really help him take a step in the right direction to be a starting quarterback in the National Football League at a high level. I think Teddy came in and did that. I think as it stands right now, I was happy with what Skylar was able to do under the pretense that he's going to continue to get better. And I think I think Tua is in a different spot. I think the team's in a different spot, and I think there's some competitive advantages that we can bring to the room through free agency, and that's what we'll look to do, is to at least have some. There will be competition regardless in the room, regardless of who we sign. But I think that that's something that we're definitely interested in to make the quarterback room better.
Mike, how big of a player? You made some changes on the coaching staff, but it seems like you're retaining Danny Crossman. Was there consideration to make a move there? And if not, what do you like about what he did last year?
So for me, it never really crossed my mind. And that just comes as a result of daily evaluations of all coaching involved in the building. I think that the Miami Dolphins fan base, the players, and Danny and myself would all agree that's the desired results. We have more to achieve, but if I would have determined that was solely his, if I thought that we couldn't get to where we need to get to go with Danny Crossman, I would have made a move. I definitely didn't feel that way, and that just comes as a result of daily investment into the coaching staff and what he brings to the table.
What about the same as it applies to your offensive line coach? You did make a change there. What was it?
So realistically, from the way the staff was orchestrated the previous year, I really needed to get more offensive coordinator work out of Frank Smith, and he was devoted a little too much to the offensive line. And I needed more selfishly to alleviate some stuff off my plate. And so that was the motivating factor to make that move, was to facilitate Frank Smith being able to appropriate his time more as a coordinator and less in the offensive line room. Well, I'm not in the business of tampering. And I believe, You guys might be trying to get the second-year hustle on me, but we need every draft pick we can get. So I'm all for Dolphins fandom. And the more players that, even if they're on our opponent's team, if they're cheering for Dolphins, I think that's good for all of us. Right, Hal? Oh, now you don't have an opinion. Okay.
Mike Carthon told the story about Elijah Mitchell and how you put that tape together. What was your experience like dealing with Rand? What is it that you think will make him a good GM?
Wait, I can't believe he took that bribe. Rand Carthon, somebody I've had several years experience in the National Football League with. I have no doubt in my mind that he's going to do this job as well, if not better than the last job he had. This is the type of person he is. I think the Tennessee Titans are getting a guy that's motivated for the right reasons to do what he does best, and that's evaluate football players. I think he has a great scope of what it takes for a team to win, and all the different variables that are encompassed in that. I think he's a leader of men. I think he'll get the best out of his department, and I think, especially since he complimented me, I can't say enough nice things about him. Ooh, buddy. These are two of my favorite people. So Rand Carthon transitioning to DeMeco Ryans. DeMeco Ryans, I'm just glad that I didn't have to interview against him. Okay, this guy is unlike any other coach I've been around, where I really haven't been around a guy that. Old enough where we drafted, and I was there for his year one as a rookie. By the way, he was he called the defense and was rookie of the year, and immediately the best player on our defense. Fast forward to his first year in coaching, and he excelled at the same rate as like a quality control defensive assistant, which had a expedited fast track to position coach, and then he had the pressure of following Robert Saleh and that elite defense, and you know what, I think he at every juncture he's just been first class, high level human being. That bottom line is, as a head coach, your job is to make everyone around you better, and I mean, at every walk that I've been able to view him from age 22 on, that's all he's ever done. So it's very rare that you get such a leader of men that is willing and able to be a coach after being having an illustrious career as he did. So I think the best is yet to come for that franchise, and I know he couldn't be happier being there.
Mike, just to round out with all your favorite people, Bobby Slowick is going to be up in Houston.
Yeah.
Him having a similar background to you, but also his ability to work defensively when he was in Washington. What does that give him an advantage as a play caller?
No, I think it's a huge advantage because it's almost like being bilingual, to be able to speak that language and understand the motivating factors from that defensive side of the ball, and accruing multiple NFL seasons doing so. I think it's invaluable. I think that not all coaches, myself included, are afforded that opportunity, and I know from every person that I've been around that's experienced something like that, it pays unbelievable dividends. You have a tireless, hungry worker in Bobby Slowick that has a exuberant young mind, but also is grounded in a lot of football principles, both offensively and defensively, that every team would be fortunate to have.
There's been some discussion at the league level about some of these quarterback pushes, that we've seen these runs with the quarterback Jalen.
Yeah.
I don't think you guys used it, but just
I I think it's cool anytime someone's able to execute something when the opponent knows it's coming. I don't care who you are. That would be attempted by every team if they could guarantee the success at the rate that the Philadelphia Eagles were able to do it at. I don't. Yeah, it's not the coolest highlight reel of football to watch, but nonetheless, I very much appreciate what it takes to excel at that. Because, I mean, I'm pretty sure that every team in professional football has attempted the quarterback sneak. And so anytime you're entering the grounds of 100% attempt, but then you have one team that does it that level of I don't know, certainty of outcome, that high of a percentage, there will be attempts to recreate it. However, I wouldn't expect it to have the same residual results. I would, I'll abide by any rules. So I don't know. I feel like, I feel like we're tampering again. Can you get in trouble for a rule that hasn't been made yet? No?
You can't break a rule if it's not a rule.
You're right. I hope the rule's not changed.
If there was one thing that you could tell yourself from before you started being head coach to where you are now, what would it be?
Have bigger muscles. No, I think I got a solid. I think I'm grounded enough to understand that it's not all. I don't think you necessarily want it to be all roses, and part of the beauty of this job is to handle some turmoil. I think I'm pretty comfortable with where I'm at with that. I think I'd probably tell myself, hey, just get ready. You're going to want to win for the franchise even more than you can conceive, and that's okay. So don't hyperventilate. How do I? I think it's kind of an unfair comparison to a degree. I think in my NFL career, Vic is one of one, in my opinion, of creating and innovating and sustaining high-quality defense. I don't know about you, but in '95, what was I doing? I was 12 years old and cheering for the inaugural Colorado Rockies. Okay, he started coordinating defense at that time, but then has been able to adjust it and to the game, to the things that he's having to defend, and to the players that he has. So I think having the opportunity to add Vic Fangio is as exciting of an opportunity in the offseason as I could have. I think all players on defense will benefit from it, and I know myself included, I'll benefit from the process of being able to work with him on a daily basis, tap into his infinite wisdom. I mean, I was last week just in 1 week in the office with him, had a couple hours of just very gratifying football conversation that I know that's going to help me moving forward from the head coaching position. And on top of that, he was giving me stories on Pat Swilling and Kevin Green, and just stuff that from a football historical perspective I very much appreciate. I got to just last week I got to find out when his simulated pressures that he's so famous for, when he what provoked him and what was the advent of that and when it was. That stuff is very interesting, but now you take it a step further, and when you have a guy that is innovating over time, I think the residuals for players are really everything they really sign up for.
Mike, where's Channing Tindall at? I know he was a guy, I don't want to say weak, but he went
Miami.
just in terms of his progress and what you've seen from him and where you guys are at from unexpected.
No, I'm expecting a big offseason and a big jump in year 2. Channing knows that. He has that expectation for himself. He worked very diligently, but I think it's a matter of him really being able to visualize and really carry out all assignments within the defensive structure that I know he's really mandating from himself to really take another step. I think he did a great job, with the reps that he had, and really scout team and during the year for practice, and he did develop. But we're excited about this next year opportunity to really take advantage of some opportunity that he will have. I'm looking everywhere. Can you catch? All right. You look cheap, so I think we'll sign you. No judgment. Okay. I think you wouldn't, outside of the known entities, Tyreek and Jalen, their roster spots aren't up in question, but I try to refrain from penciling in any sort of player at any sort of position as best I can, only because that's honestly the way that I approach the whole scenario is that if you want a job, you can win it, and it's going to be based on the merit on the field. So I think there's opportunity there. There's some guys that aren't on the roster that will be on the roster. Who those guys are, it's $1 million question. But the bottom line is we're going to have an atmosphere that's going to you're really going to have to be able to thrive in a competitive atmosphere, because there's some talented players that you're going to have to compete with to win that job of the third most targeted receiver. Was that a Mike? Was it? Oh, I got them all answered. No, I think that's a. I wouldn't be honest if I told you that going into the season I wouldn't expect some natural learning curve. There's a lot of responsibility that I don't pull any punches. It's a difficult job. That being said, I feel like there is clearly some situations I'd like to have back. There were some situations that I was okay with. I think really every year for me, I'm going to be I'm going to have a high level of anxiety if I'm not finding stuff that I can't completely get better from. That belief that you're constantly a better version of yourself that drives me. And there's plenty of situations that, we had as many pre-snap penalties. I think we led the league in them offensively. So obviously there's a lot of work to do that we're all excited about rectifying. And then clock management is just another layer of things that I've already begun the process and, call the play faster. Boom. See, that's it. That's all it takes. Yeah. Oh, it's going to be huge. Little written about scenarios that our offensive players haven't had an off season where they're watching themselves in half a decade, maybe more. That's incredibly important. I even I throw digs and jest, but like I had to be reminded by coaches on staff last year that, hey, this is like the fourth consecutive season that these guys have watched a different team's cut-ups in the off season and haven't watched themselves. That adds up fast. So this will. I'm very, very excited for the players to be able to come back and digest the system, to not have any variance offensively, and that we'll just be correcting, improving, and building upon what we did last year. What?
Did you have updates on the progress of guys who had season-ending injuries?
Ogba's doing well, and I just saw him in the train or in the facility, and he high-fived me, and I had to jump. So he looked great to me. He's been recovering soundly. And who else did you ask about? Brandon Jones is continuing to work, and Nick Needham is in good spirits and has had no setbacks in his recovery.
Mike, do you see any scenario where Mike Gesicki returns next year, or has the time come for Brandon Jones?
No, I mean, there's always a spot for good players. I think that Mike has earned the opportunity to test the market, and I very much encourage that, us being in charge of doing our best to take care of their careers as best we can. But for him to have that opportunity to go earn, we very much encourage that. However, we are not in the business of saying no to good players, so I wouldn't close that door at all. His football acumen, he came in as a old soul, where you, if you didn't have his flip card, you'd think that he's been in the league for 10 years, how he went about his business. It's first and foremost a priority for him, which is why he was able to be relied upon by the veterans down the stretch as though he was a vet. I think that those qualities are a common denominator amongst undrafted players that succeed in the National Football League, and he exemplifies that, where you have a guy that comes in with expectations for himself that are far greater than the draft or undrafted free agent money allotment, all the stuff that we perceive. They go above and beyond to set their own course in their career, and he very much did that. Jiu-jitsu. Yeah.
Was that something that the team kind of facilitated,
Yeah, no, it's something that we had various ideas, some of which I won't repeat because they weren't as good as that one, and we were willing to go to any length. However, him getting invested in it, and and really talking to him and hearing how the trainers invested in him, and how he was really into it, and getting good residuals from it. We feel very comfortable in terms of this being able to best prepare him for things that he hasn't otherwise been able to prepare for. That it's something that, like a follow through throwing motion, it's something that we're trying to train, and he's 100% all in, attacking it with vigor and exuberance. And he was a former boxer, so he has all the tools to beat you up if you say bad things about him. It's jiu-jitsu. No, he said judo, but J's and U's. Happens.